Dear people of God, I remember as a child, my dad trying to find the water pipe underneath the back garden. And he did this by using two metal rods which he held in his hands. And he walked across the garden, and I was watching him, and suddenly these rods crossed, and he knew he was standing over that water pipe. That memory came back to me when I heard those words from the first reading. Who can divine the will of the Lord? Because, of course, what Dad was doing was water divining. Apparently, it's got something to do with the fact that water interrupts the magnetic field of the earth. That's why it disturbs those metal rods. Who can divine the will of the Lord? And of course, the answer to that question in that scripture that we heard, the answer is the one who is wise. Because the one who is wise has eyes for the truth. And it is one who is wise that we are welcoming to this cathedral this week, starting tomorrow afternoon, and she'll be here until Wednesday morning. Therese of Lisieux. She's one of those rare, wise women with whom we can divine the will of the Lord. That's why she's coming. That's what she wants us all to help us all to do. Someone whose sensitive soul can help us to discover the deepest mysteries of God and the deepest meaning of our lives. I've just come from Dundee, actually, yesterday, where her relics have been for the last few days, and this weekend they are in Edinburgh, and as I say, they'll arrive here tomorrow evening. And in Dundee, I'm sure you know, is the famous ship that went on the national Antarctic expedition at the beginning of the 20th century, captained by Scott, and there were people like Ernest Shackleton aboard. It's the ship Discovery. And I felt sure that Therese would be thrilled to be in the city where that ship is now moored, because her life was all about discovery. In one place she likens herself to Christopher Columbus. There's something in Therese's teaching that betrays an intrepid explorer, an adventurer. She's an adventurer when it comes to the things of God, when it comes to the things of the Spirit. She's someone who wanted to discover the capacity of the human heart, the true capacity of the human spirit. And she's someone who, you could say, has gone ahead of us in that search, and she wants to share with us the wonderful things that she found. And that's why she's coming here to Aberdeen. By the way, I don't know whether you've seen, maybe in the Catholic press, a map of the British Isles that she once drew when she was a child. And amazingly, among the cities that she pinpoints on that map is Aberdeen. So it's a wonderful kind of providential thing that now she's coming to visit that city that she actually highlighted on that map all those years ago. In one of her writing, she says, "I would love to travel the earth, preaching your name, Lord." And And that's why she's coming to Aberdeen. If you like, this cathedral is the next pulpit in which Therese will be preaching. And what will be her message? What will she be preaching? Well, nothing less, nothing else but the gospel. And in fact, for the last few weeks, the Gospels have been, you could say, preparing us for this visit, because they've all been highlighting aspects that were so important to Therese and to her understanding of what Christian discipleship means. So, for example, 2 weeks ago, we heard the Lord say, "Try your best to enter by the narrow door," implying that we need to be squeezed down, as it were. We need some shrinking to go on in our lives for us to be able to get through that door. So much in our culture, dear friends, is shouting out in different ways, "Supersize me." But actually, Therese is saying the opposite. Her ambition is, "Lord, minimize me." What she means is that somehow we need to grow smaller in order to enter deeply into the things of God and into, indeed, our own identity. Just last Sunday, we heard the Lord say, "Make your way to the lowest place." Therese loved that line. She wanted to race there. She said, "Let's run to the lowest place." It was like that lowest place had a kind of magnetic, gravitational pull on her. Why did she love the lowest place? Because, as we heard again recently in the gospel, the last shall be first. The humble shall be exalted. So St Therese is coming here this week as visible proof of the beautiful truth of that humility is the key to our destiny, that humility is the key to our true identity, which is something that can never be grabbed, but only ever received with open and empty hands. And she's the one who shows us how to have those open and empty hands. And she's the one who teaches us that our high destiny, our deepest identity, is to be holy. Our deepest identity is to be saints. And this little saint is coming here in the coming days in order to remind us that the highway to holiness is lowliness. And then she's underlining something that's not quite so comfortable, I think. Most of us, if not all of us, would have winced as we heard those gospel passages today. The passages that tell us that this following of the Lord will always be costly, that it will always involve the cross, that following Jesus means learning to let go, that following Jesus means learning to say no. This is also what she's teaching us. By the way, here she's depicted at about 16 years old when she was a novice, and the other side of the sanctuary, there she's about 22, 23, when she in fact was novice mistress, teaching the novices. You could say that if we come to these coming days to the cathedral, we're like her novices. She wants to teach us many things. I was reading this morning, Pope Francis has been talking about St Therese in his visit to Africa, to Madagascar. And he was saying that Therese has taught him many things in his life, that she's been a faithful friend, and that she teaches us that little acts of love are what save the world. But Therese used to say to her novices, don't come to me if you don't want to hear the truth. She was passionate about the truth. So she may be saying to us now, through that eyeballing of us that she's doing in that photo, don't come to me if you don't want to learn the truth. And I think there's a part of us all that doesn't really want to know the truth, because we know some of that truth is going to be painful. Some of that truth will necessitate us changing, that there'll be an upheaval in our lives. But I hope a deeper part of ourselves knows that, as Jesus promises, the truth will set you free. No matter how hard it is, the truth will set you free. If that freedom is something you want, that you're yearning for, be sure to come and sit at the feet of this wise woman during these coming days. Come and drink of her wisdom. Come and and let her help you divine the will of the Lord. Or in the words of one of my students, come and be Theresmerized.